Hey guys, it's Charles Shane, represent ZoomTheTBT, and we have our last preview of teams prior to the whole festival started. Today we have Armored Athlete on the show. And look at this field, Charge. I mean, it's a pretty interesting first-round matchup of Power of the Paw.
Yeah, no, this whole pod is just wild to me. So obviously Armored Athlete, the number 15 seed, going to be taking on number 18 Power to Paw. Rich history of Armored Athlete going against a team that's been real cohesive here in the preseason, and the winner gets the honor of taking on a rebuilt overseas elite. So if you've been following our social media accounts, Kennedy's out. Kane's out, and then obviously they just added a bunch of people, Jared Jack back, and Sir Dom, Xavier Silas, Raphael Putney. So this team is not the same team that we're used to seeing for Overseas Elite, but will still be a formidable opponent. And staring across, obviously TMT's been making a lot of waves for TBT 2020, and you can't sleep on Jimmy V or heard that either. So fantastic pod. It's going to be some great basketball played here.
Yeah, I kind of wish we would stop changing players. I have to keep doing the slide. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, let's talk about our guests. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about Armored Athlete. And we have today Scott Machado. Scott, what's up, man?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Doing good. GM AJ Mahar.
Hey, fellas. Thanks for having me back.
Always a pleasure. Friend of the pod. And the head coach, BJ Dunne. BJ, what's going on?
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having us on today.
Let's see your pretty faces. Vince, it's all to you.
Yeah, so let's get to know a little bit about the team, and we'll start with you, AJ, as the GM. The fireworks weren't supposed to start until tomorrow, but it's been a crazy week, especially for the GMs of these tournament teams. Probably the most challenging situation any TBT GMs had to deal with. So you guys had probably more turnover than any other team in regards to guys that were anticipated to play and weren't able to, and then losing some big names. But you still have a fantastic roster here. You got 8 guys ready to go, and they look great on paper. So tell me about the last week and how you kind of managed through all that.
Yeah, so this whole experience this year has been like none other in the last 5 years. Now this is our 6th year doing this. Like you said, you just talked about our turnover. We had 5 guys test positive COVID prior to arriving to Ohio. So like that was obviously quite the challenge. And then we also had 2 other guys that are stuck overseas and can't get back into the country because of the borders being locked down. So those 7 guys that we planned on having, 5 of them were within like 3 days of arriving that we found out that was going to happen. So scrambling, using every connection that I could possibly find, trying to fill this roster out. And the guys that we have, like, I couldn't be more excited for. They're getting along so well. They're vibing really well. They're all unselfish. They all can shoot it. They all can play defense. We're older. We're a veteran team. I really, really like how the team turned out on such short notice. The guys they've been incredible through all of this so far. And we have guys that want to be here, which is the most important thing, right? Like they all want to be here. They all want to compete. They all want to win. So that's a big piece of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed with what you guys have been able to do. It shows a lot to the commitment of the program being a long-term fixture, being able to get a lot of really quality players together in a short period of time. I think I speak for all of us saying this whole COVID thing is a disaster for just all of us. I'm glad to just get this festival of fastball back. Scott, obviously, it's been kind of an interesting year for you, overseas, playing Australia. And then, of course, Gale Nation, which is a very deserving team, wasn't able to make it in this year. You've always played with them. As an interesting playing for Armored Athlete, especially after that very controversial ending a few years back in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Honestly, it was something that I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy that AJ reached out to my guy, John Giggins, that runs the Gale Nation. And after I found out the Gale Nation wasn't going to be in it, it was a perfect opportunity. And I got to speak to AJ. Then AJ put me on the phone with BJ, and it just sounded like a perfect group to be with, the guys that they put together. And I'm just happy to be here, man.
Yeah, real quick, too, actually, just back on that old game in Brooklyn. Was that a legit foul call? I'm just asking you, Scott. So we asked AJ before.
I will keep it like that. I think it was a legitimate foul call. I will not go back on that.
he's coming over to your room. He's fixing to cut you.
He's next door, but I had these on,
man.
Hey, I had these on last night, and I asked him if he remembered them.
Hey, we got to let the past be the past, man.
That's very big of you, Scott. Very big of you.
That's a good, safe answer, Scott. All right, so BJ, you're the new guy to the TBT mix. So first-year coach for Armored Athlete, and obviously getting part of one of the more historical programs in there. So currently head coach at Gettysburg. So shout out to your guys in the background there and a nice professional Zoom background. So they're going to be excited to see you, I'm sure. But tell me about the challenges from a coaching perspective. So you came into this thing thinking you have, guys like Courtney Fortson and Dominique Jones probably coming up with your game plan. And then the next thing you know is like, no, forget him and him. You got great players like Scott Machado coming in. So how tough has it been to keep that same game plan? Have you had to modify it? And kind of what's your kind of thought process on getting this team ready?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, the whole time AJ, did a really great job of just continuing to communicate to me, where our roster was as you're starting to kind of watch guys' clips and synergy. And, really it wasn't as much about watching our guys as it was watching like the history of the TBT and seeing a lot of the teams that have had a lot of success and made deep runs. You have Overseas Elite, Carmen's Crew, some of these alumni teams, and really trying to take on that identity as much as possible of really getting after it defensively. Having a great defensive identity that, all five guys on the court are going to buy into and over communicate. And then on offense, really share the basketball, try and distort the defense as much as possible. Really trying to see what a lot of the other teams in this tournament have had a ton of success doing, and then just trying to come up with a system that we felt like could be, I guess, fungible would be the right word, as our roster kind of changed, where we could just kind of plug pieces in, throughout the roster change-ups.
Yeah, it's always an interesting challenge with TBT is because there's always a little bit of roster churn because of the nature of the event. I mean, this year obviously is an outlier in the amount. Like, this is a bit insane for even people who follow this event. If this is people's first foray into this event, which it is yours, I mean, that's got to be insane to see this level of roster churn. It's been nuts. Back to you, Scott, though. You obviously played in Australia. You got to play LaMelo Ball, who will be probably one of the top 3 picks in the NBA draft. You guys were both the top of the league in assists and steals. How do you think his game might hold to the next level? And does that, since you're basically a similar guy, when are you going to get when are they going to get you in the NBA? When's this going to happen?
Yeah, so, I thought I was going to be able to go be a part of the NBA bubble this year. And come to find out they weren't allowing any FIBA guys to play in it. I was a little disappointed. I actually made the deadline of being a player that was done with my season on March 5th, and there's a deadline that is set for March 11th. And to me, that sounds super clear that I'm supposed to be part of that bubble, but there were different rules that no FIBA guys at all that played overseas were allowed to be a part of the NBA bubble. So that was unfortunate, but I was hoping that would happen, and I'm moving on and happy to be here with TBT. And even reverting back to the Armored Athlete and Guild Nation thing, we beat you guys then, and they took us out of the 25 now, so we're even for sure. But LaMelo is a real deal. His knowledge is beyond his age, and he could go, and I think it would translate well as long as he keeps his confidence at an ultimate high. And he has some good vets around him, he'll be completely fine.
Totally makes sense. Okay, talking about a little bit more about your roster construction and bring that back up. And obviously a really great roster. All the stats we usually done are scrubbed by my partner Vince Charge. Charge, what are you seeing here?
Yeah, the first thing I see, obviously, we won't go through the whole history here. It's just a storied history. We've kind of talked about that a few times now. But I think the first look I got at this slide once we put it all back together is how important it is to maintain TBT relationships and have good relationships in the TBT community. This team here, obviously a very solid team, but without the pieces you picked up from the Fort Wayne champs, Gilbeck, Phil, pretty much your only real big guy, and Hicks is so experienced and versatile. So, so tell me about, how you were able to acquire these guys and why those relationships are so important.
Yeah, we really got really lucky, and we got a major assist from Garrett over there at the Fort Wayne champs. I had reached out to him when they didn't get in the field, not knowing that they were an alternate team, and I asked him about a player or two that they didn't have, or that were on the roster because they didn't get in, so we could try to fill some of our gaps. And he's like, well, actually, we're an alternate team now, and they're asking us not to give up any of our players and keep them all on under contract or whatever you want to call it on our roster. I was like, cool, whatever. So I just moved on. And then as time went on, he had a few guys test positive. They were down to like 5 guys. And he's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to swing it this year. So we're probably going to disband. And then we talked about some guys, and thrilled to have both Brandon and Steph. They're going to play huge roles for us. They're really, really, really good guys. And they're a perfect fit for what we've got going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting looking at this roster because it is, and usually there's a lot of continuity with your roster often. Guys like Terrica White have been here a lot of times. You usually have a lot of guys come back. This is the first time I've seen an Armored Athlete team with this little returning people in the program, in your franchise, which directs me to BJ. So you've got a very talented team, but they all come from different TBT backgrounds, all come from different rosters. How is blending them together, the sort of disparate parts, talented as they be, how does that present you as a challenge as a first-time TBT coach, excuse me?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a challenge, but having guys like Scott and Josh Bostich and Cody Clark, you just have and John Roberson, like you have older guys, veterans that, maybe the first time that they've played together, but this isn't the first time that they're playing basketball. And I think, Scott made a great point yesterday in practice, and he's like, hey, this is the first time we're playing together, but guys, it's basketball. Like, it's the same language. Like, we speak it wherever we play. And, it was just a lot of fun just to watch these guys just do some, like, skeleton work, 3-on-0, 4-on-0, get to 5-on-0, and just that, like, high level of communication that you're seeing. And I think anytime that there's money on the line and it's a situation where it's next basket wins, I think you're going to recognize that guys really, like those veterans, like know what it's going to take to win games in this tournament. And if you're going to do that, you have to check egos at the door. You have to share the basketball. And so far we got a group that's really on the same page with that. We met last night as a team. I mean, we talked 2.5 hours about defense. My Gettysburg guys will tell you I probably haven't talked 2.5 hours of defense in 2 years with them. So
well, what's defense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I just think that just goes to show you, these guys are pros in every sense of the word, not just in their skill set and ability, but, the way that they prepare and their mindset. And, honestly, when you have a group right now that hasn't played together like some of these alumni teams, really being in this bubble is the best thing for us. And having to play in that first round game is great. It allows us to, like, expedite that relationship building process and that trust that some of these teams have built. Like, it's like you're playing in the, Super Showcase in Orlando and AAU or some type of college tournament. It's just, the only people we can hang out with is, are each other. And, there's a lot of just really good talk about what we can do. And again, I think AJ did a really great job of meshing skill sets together. We got a lot of guys who are capable of spacing the floor and making shots, but we also got a lot of really selfless guys that, are really going to share that thing. I think we're going to be fun to watch on Sunday night. I think we're going to play a really fun style. And, there's going to be just a lot of just energy and enthusiasm from the group of the way we're going to compete.
All right. Yeah, Scott, you're one of those real versatile players. So obviously you can score, you can facilitate with the best of them. Great defender. So played at a high level, NBA, G League, Australia. I mean, some really high levels. And your skill set's one of those ones that is in demand with TBT because you need to be versatile, especially this year with only 8 guys on your team. Where do you see your skill set fitting in, and what kind of role do you see taking with Armored Athlete this year?
Yeah, so like BJ said, man, we have a lot of guys that can hit shots, so that makes my job very easy. I think that there's nobody in the tournament that could just keep me in front of them. So if I'm allowed to get in the paint, then there's always somebody that's coming to help. So with all these shooters surrounding us, that'll make things so much easier, and guys just shoot the shit out the ball. Excuse my language. But
that's right.
It's my role is just going to be obviously like trying to lead in my way, and allowing guys to know that they can all be vocal. And the only way that will make this thing work is if we all have the same goal. Nobody's here to try to win an MVP. Nobody's here to try to win single accolades. This is a team thing, and we're trying to win something together. And the only way to do that is definitely to drop your egos at the door and come together to play team defense. We're not going to leave nobody out there on the island. We're not going to let nobody be out there by themselves to get embarrassed or anything like that. So I just want to be able to be kind of the glue guy. Whatever is needed in that game at that time when I'm on the court, I would do. If we're struggling at scoring, I'm going to put the ball in the hole. If we are needing some defensive stops, I'm going to try to make better, get some stops for us. And I'm just going to try to be that glue guy. Make sure we stay together, be as vocal as I can, make sure that even if things are going bad, bring it back to a positive note. And, just kind of be the head of that snake.
Yeah, no, that's a big luxury for AJ and BJ, being able to count on you in a lot of different roles, critical in TBT to have guys like yourself on there. And so, AJ, one of the more interesting pickups for you is your last pickup, Zane Waterman. So this is a guy late ad, but what I found interesting when I was, putting my slides together is that he actually played against you guys last year. Obviously, you scorched Dratty, but he played really, really well, had a great game against you guys. So is this a guy that you've been recruiting in the offseason, but the numbers weren't quite there yet? Or was this a guy that, hey, I really need a player, and I remember this guy got me last year a little bit? So how did you come across Zane?
Yeah, I'm going to be completely transparent with you how this all went down. All right, so I'm assuming at this point you guys remember our booster that got in the game last year, Brian Littman.
Absolutely. I'm surprised you didn't call him up last minute. I mean, one of the best three-point shooters in the tournament, and you left him off this roster.
I regret it. That's our sniper. That's our sniper that I left on the sidelines, unfortunately. He's letting me hear about it every second of every day. But no, really the way that it went down, Zane obviously played unbelievable against us last year. He hit 4 threes, had 7 rebounds, and we had a pretty star-studded roster. And for him to perform against like that, it gave me and us the confidence to go after him. The way that it actually went down was I can't take the credit for it. Brian Littman actually sent Zane last week a DM on Instagram with the video clip of him hitting a 3 in Zane's face because Zane was the one closing out on him when he made the shot. And he asked if he remembered this. Zane owned up, took complete responsibility, and so he responded. And then Brian goes, "What do you think? You want to join the Armored Athlete family?" And Zane said, "I'd love to." From there, it's history. So it was kind of Brian. I got to give Brian the credit on that one. It's definitely a major assist to him, and I got to give Zane a ton of credit as well for being as fun and easygoing as he was about the whole thing and being happy to join us. He's so pumped to be here. He's as pumped, if not more pumped than anybody. So, again, it's one of those guys that you need to have on your roster. And I'm excited. I think Zane can really shoot that thing, and I'm excited to have him with us.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely an interesting roster, obviously, in a lot of ways. And this question goes down to BJ, knowing that is like, again, like you mentioned style of play and how it's going to be exciting to watch. Let's go a little deeper here. Like, what kind of sets are you trying to run to unlock these players? Don't give anything, obviously, your opponents can use, but like the casual fan, what are we looking for as a fan watching these games?
Yeah, I think you're going to see us try and push pace in transition, really try and dictate that flow and put the defense on their heels. We also recognize, with that 30-second shot clock, that's different than what everybody's used to defending at 24 in the professional level. Really trying to utilize those 6 seconds to where we can distort, the defense with some false action early, create some potential mismatches. I mean, these guys, their playmaking ability is incredible. Like Sky's talking about, I agree. Like, there's no one in this tournament who can keep that guy in front. And, if we can distort the defense, early in the shot clock and allow him to really get downhill and make plays. And there's a lot of space, the space with the shooters, we're going to find a lot of success, and really just trying to reverse that basketball, play some 2-man game actions with some tandems. I think it's going to be fun, but you are going to see threes add up quicker than twos. We got 5 guys at all times on the floor can really shoot the ball. But I just think the savvy of our guards and that playmaking ability is going to be really highlighted throughout the tournament run.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the savvy of the guards is definitely going to be a major thing. You have a very, very good backcourt here, especially the first time Mobley coming in will also help a lot too. This question is more for Scott, actually. So obviously the front court's also got some very versatile players. Clark played in the NBA. We've already mentioned Waterman. But you guys are kind of short-staffed due to COVID and all this nonsense, only having 8 guys. I noticed there's a 9th person, GM and power forward, AJ Mahar. If it gets down tight, Scott, would you be willing to throw AJ the ball in the post and let him work?
Absolutely. We told him yesterday to get ready. He will be attendance in practice today. He must be ready to show offense in practice today. He has to be ready. There is no question about it. The whole team has mentioned it. We are in agreement. He has no choice.
I mean, he is listed as a power forward on the roster. I'm not making this up.
Let me chime in on that real quick. So I'm leaving it up to Scott then, because I told him yesterday I'm not shooting any shots that aren't guaranteed makes, so he's got to get me open. I've got a 100% field goal percentage career in my career in TBT, so I'm not taking anything I'm missing. So he's got to find me open for a wide open layup.
I didn't know you were 100% too. So between you and Littman, I mean, you guys could have ran the table here in 2020.
It's off the charts over here.
Gosh, all right. I don't know. Yeah, Scott's, you're going to have to take the back seat. We got AJ, we got Brian coming back, so ride the pine.
I'm cool with coaching. I'm gonna help BJ on the sideline.
We good. We need you on the court, man.
All right, so let's get a peek at the opponent. So you guys have the Clemson alumni, Power of the Paw. So they had a nice little run last year. They beat Team 23 in the opening round, and then lost a really close game to CP3. They bring back 2 of their best players with Reed and DeVoe. They added some great guys like Josh Cognan. They added Grantham. So this team here is, I think very well balanced and very deep. And BJ, question for you. One of the things they were able to do, they were able to get an extensive training camp before arriving. And one of the other coaches I talked to said that the folks who had camp beforehand and obviously panned out, didn't get COVID, they're going to have a significant advantage. So do you agree with that? And, how do you kind of get your guys ready to go on a short amount of time to offset it?
Yeah, I think anytime you can have a chance to spend a lot of time together and develop that chemistry is going to be beneficial. But I wouldn't necessarily say that gives them, an advantage over us. I think I'm just going to go back to, the veterans that we have, the guys like Scotty and Josh and Cody and John who've just played so much basketball, and they've seen every scheme on both sides of the floor. There's a lot of just like sharp dudes, in our team meeting room. And when you're talking out things, I think that really is beneficial for us. So, we had practice yesterday. We'll continue to practice up until Sunday. We'll be able to have a shoot around. We've watched a lot of film already. We've talked about their player personnel. We're identifying, the scheme that we want to do for them. So I think, we're spending a lot of time, on what we feel like strategy-wise can be successful. And, you're also, got to remember these guys, again, have played a lot of basketball, and we're pretty confident in the group that we have too.
Yeah, talking about also cohesion of having a camp, not having a camp. There's also something else going on here is they're an alumni team. And we've talked a lot about how this gets based around there's more and more alumni teams coming. People want to play for old colleges, don the old colors. And this is actually pretty close to a true alumni team. They have a couple of grad transfers, they call it, but not all. And my question is kind of either for Scott or BJ, or maybe both of you, is the benefit of having an alumni team is you guys have a common sets, common sort of idea of how you guys played in a certain system. But at the same time, they're all playing professionally now. They're all playing different systems now. So does that advantage get watered down the longer you are away from college? And does it really matter? I guess maybe, Scott, my question might be more for you.
I think it doesn't matter. I think that, like you said, they're professionals. They've been out of college for some years. And they come back and have a training camp, and they could be playing pickup and try to mess as much as they want to. At the end of the day, it's who's going to be able to adjust faster. Who's going to be able to adjust faster? Who's going to be able to sustain playing hard basketball, and also who's going to get more stops. As far as putting the basketball in the hole, that's what everybody's trying to do. But coming into a tournament like this, you got to do the things that people don't want to do. With COVID, they have an advantage of practicing before us, but with our knowledge and being able to speak it through now, we already see that guys are open to changes. They're open to being held accountable, being able to speak to each other. So that right there is a step ahead of basketball, because that is all IQ stuff, and those are things that actually help win games. And I think it doesn't matter that they did all of that beforehand. I think it's who shows up that night.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you talk about getting stops too. I mean, one thing that jumps off this page is Reed at 23.5 points last time. BJ, how are you going to scheme to keep him from going off?
Don't give too much, BJ.
I'm not giving anything.
Yeah. Give up casual fan stuff. Don't give up anything. Give up people watching who will understand.
Yeah.
Not the coaches will understand.
Yeah, we'll tell you, we definitely, he's a guy that we're certainly watching film on and talking about how we want to cover him. And, he's an elite scorer. He's scored that many points for a reason. We're interested to see how the additions of Anderson and Cognon, affect the play with Reed and DeVoe too. They were so huge last year. But that's all we can really tell you. We have some things in our back pocket that we're going to keep working on today. AJ is actually going to be Reed in practice today when we do the defense and we watch.
Exact same. I mean,
yeah,
definite resemblance.
We're giving him the penny. I know AJ, you want to be 100%, man, but you're just going to have to fire at will today. So that's all I can give to you right now.
Shoot, BJ, shoot or shoot.
That's right.
Well, we could definitely talk about his tweet though. His tweet is already out there, so we could definitely talk about that.
What tweet? What are we talking about here?
So he tweeted that he's gonna have fun scoring 30 points in the TBT. It didn't say what game. It didn't say what game in per se. But
I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up. Hang on, keep talking around me. I'll bring it up.
That's awesome.
Definitely said he's gonna go for 30. So
not on your watch.
I mean, if anything, he's putting pressure.
Putting it in the holster, fellas. Putting it in the holster.
There we go. Yeah, you got to have a little bit of that sort of talk. Let me find the tweet. Go ahead. Go ahead.
While Hayner's pulling that up, obviously, when I'm looking at Power to Paw, we got to give Josh Cognon a shout-out, charge guy. So he only played a couple, 2-3 games, so he may not get the full 25%, more likely to win for Power to Paw, but definitely got to give my charge guys a shout-out. AJ, you haven't had anyone since Marcus Thornton. We got to get you on board here and get some more charge guys in the future, but we'll let you slide this year. It's been a challenging year.
I'm waiting on an assist charge. I need an assist.
We'll see what we can do. All right. So AJ, let's talk a little bit about Power to Paul being the favorite to win this game. So you guys are the 15 seed, they're the 18s. I mean, but we've talked a number of times. You can throw seeds out the window, but the TBT expert odds makers came into this game with Power to Paul, a 4.5-point favorite. Already, they were already getting attacked because they're like, you're crazy, you're sleeping on Armored Athletes. So they moved it down to 3. So still the favorite. So what are the odds makers missing here? Why are you guys going to be a decisive victor over Power to Paw?
Man, there's so much I could say right now, but it doesn't even matter. All I'm going to say is if I was a betting man, I would hammer that line on Armored Athlete.
Absolutely. We'll leave it short and sweet.
Is this the tweet?
That's the tweet right there.
Can't wait to drop 30 on here, smiley face. I mean, maybe he's not talking about you. Maybe he's looking past you, which is probably even more disrespectful.
Exactly. He has to get past us. So for him to state that, I'm assuming he's thinking Sunday is going to be a good game.
Oh my! Well, maybe he thinks he'll score 30 in a game that goes in the hundreds. Maybe. I mean, maybe that's what's going to happen here. I don't know. That's pretty.
Yeah,
funny.
It's crazy how much social media weighs in nowadays because everyone puts it all out there. You guys were talking about not giving too much away, but I know the Everline guys and Coach Cody, they were watching Brotherly Love live stream on Instagram, their practices, taking notes, and I tell you, everything's out there now. There's not too many secrets, good, bad, or different. So pretty wild. So, all right, let's take this heading towards close. I'm sure you're in quarantine, but I'm sure a lot of work to do from a planning standpoint and keeping loose. So let's head to close. So let me start with you, Scott. So obviously, first year with Armored Athlete, high expectations for yourself and the team. So, just closing thoughts on TBT 2020 so far and what we can expect from this opening matchup.
It'll be a fun one. It'll be a good one. Basketball, Clemson likes to run a lot too, so it'll be a fast-paced game. Won't be surprised if they try to press us, but it'll be fun, man. And just everybody that's participating in TBT, people that are watching, continue to be safe out there. COVID's still a real thing, and just take care of each other, be considerate, and yeah, enjoy the show on Sunday. Make sure you tune in.
Enjoy the show on Sunday. BJ, as a first-time coach, what are you most looking forward to in this experience?
Yeah, I think for me so far, just the most fun I've had is just interacting and connecting with the guys, and it's definitely different when you're coaching guys that are your age, and the same pop culture. It's nice, it's unique, but really just asking them a lot of questions, curious about the international game. And being able to take things back to my team at Gettysburg that I feel like can help us be successful. These guys just know so much. They've been coached by, some of the best coaches in the world, and have played so much basketball. That's really been so far just like that great experience for me. I mean, there's no better professional development that I could have. And, being a D3 guy, all the way through, having an opportunity to be on ESPN for the first time in your life is a pretty cool thing too. So looking forward to it.
It's a good place to end it. We got AJ Mahar and his merry band of Armored Athlete guys. Looking forward to seeing you guys this weekend. Hope you guys perform well. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Miles.